Right, so we're back with my messy hair. It's taken a while for the bits that I need to turn up because one of them I needed was this here. What this is, and I'll show you it properly afterwards. It's basically an internal, almost like a multi-adapter. So it takes one of your little sockets you've got on the motherboard for your USB sockets and things, and it makes it into 4 because I didn't have enough of them. We'll go into more detail about that later. The other problem I've found is that Acer have their own wiring system. So normally, when you're doing your PC, once you've got your motherboard in, which obviously we have, you need to then plug in your hard drive light, your power wire, and your power indicator LED. Now normally these are separate little plugs, like this one. They're normally separate little 2-pin, like that. But for whatever reason, best known to Acer, they put it all into one brick, like that there, just one plug. So I'm having to split them up. I've already taken the top off, as you can see here. I've already determined the yellow and the white, sorry, the red and the white, from where they go to here is my indicator light for the hard drive. So that one's out of the process. What I need to figure out now is which one out of the blue and white and the yellow and white is the power button, and which one's actually the power button's light, essentially the LED. The easiest way to do this is probably, all that I can think of anyway, is with a normal voltage meter and put it on continuity test. If you've got the clips, because some of these come with like little crocodile clips you can put over the little probes, I suppose you'd call them, then that would make it a bit easier. But otherwise the idea would be, is that you see it, if you can hear that on there. I'll get a bit closer actually. If I put that up to there, you can hear. It kind of makes a buzzing sound. So the idea would be, is if you touch the contacts like that, if you can get to them and you press the button like I'm doing there. See how when I press the button, it beeps. If I let go of the button, it doesn't. So that means that the blue and white is my power button, and my yellow and white is the LED indicator light for the power, so you know it's gone on. So as I mentioned before, it's one brick, and I need to split it for the new motherboard. So I've been on eBay, and they sell these little sets, and you might not need all of them. But what I'm going to do is, what you do with them is, you've got like a pin side, and you've got a socket side. So what you do is you put the pin side, in this case, into the brick, the little power brick here, that for whatever reason Acer decided to use, and you plug them into the right ones, and they're all labelled. See, so this one says power switch. So that one will go into the on power switch. You've got one here for a reset switch, which this one doesn't have. The reset switch and the power switch in this computer are one in the same, so you won't need that one. They give you this little one, which is for, what is this for? P LED. So that's power LED minus. So that's a negative for the power LED. And they give you a speaker wire as well, which I don't actually need. So I'm going to guess this other one here then, which is the other one we're going to need, is, yeah, and that's the other one, which is for the power minus and the power plus. So these ones will be for the light that comes on when you turn your computer on, and this one will be for the actual switch itself, so you can turn your computer on, essentially. And what we'll do is, now we know from testing that the blue and white is the actual switch, and that the yellow and white is the lights on the switch. We'll then plug these in, so you can see on here that blue and white is on these two pins. So you would put that says being a donut in there like that, and then that just gives you a labelled, simple to use wire and socket to put onto your motherboard. Once you come around to it, these plus and minus. So as a general rule of thumb, normally with these, the minus, the negative then will always be the same colour. So because all three of these have got white in them, that will mean that white is more likely than not the negative. So in this case, for yellow and white, we need to look where the yellow is going in. So the negative will go in there where the white is, and the positive will go in there where the yellow one is. This isn't a fail-safe, so not every computer is the same. If you're not sure, if you go online and you put in the model of your computer, or if it's a pre-built one, or the model of your power switch or motherboard, whatever, you should be able to get a diagram. It's not, you shouldn't have this problem if you've got the PC entirely from scratch. So this is kind of a problem more that's more likely to you'll come across if you're upgrading a pre-built PC, which is what this was. This was bought out of the shop, pre-built. So they've obviously got their own in-house connectors and stuff, Acer. So that's what Acer do. Same as the motherboard, the old motherboard. There's no paperwork for it, so it's very hard to find out anything about that as well. So this is why I've had to trace it. But that's how you can do that. Also, if you are using, even if you're building a brand new PC, I would suggest these, just because at least that means then that when you come to upgrading anything, it's going to be much easier to reconnect everything up. So let me get this back on, the lid, and then we'll lay it back down, and I'll show you the new power supply that's in it, and we'll get these connected up at the other end. Right, we're back. So I've put the lid back on. I've connected up the main power wire from the power supply. We're using a torch because the light in here is not very good, to the 24 pin, which is there, just here. And then before I connected anything else up, so I didn't damage anything, I put the tower on the floor, plugged it in, and just double checked that the power supply switch and the light were connected right around, which they are. So brilliant. So before, I was talking to you about another component we had to put in. Now what I've had to get is this. Put the torch down for a moment. This is a USB adapter. So this particular computer has a lot of USB ports, and I wanted to try and keep them because they're handy, because I do my history YouTube videos on my original channel. So I'm always plugging in cameras and things. It also, on the front of this one, has card slots, which I also wanted to keep. So with the 4 USB sockets on the top and then the card slots, that means that I have a fair amount of internal USB wires. So rolling into the equation, we have the fact that as part of the new build, I've put an internal Wi-Fi and it's a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card in one into this, so that it doesn't need a USB Wi-Fi dongle, adapter, whatever you want to call it, in it, taking up one of the USB slots on the back, because when the Wi-Fi plays up, it's an absolute menace to get to when this is in place. So what we're left with, or what I was left with, was 3 wires. That's just a basic USB 1. These are USB 2. That's why they're thicker brick. And then if you look in here at these 2 black plugs here, that's the internal USB sub plugs. You can see I was only given 2. One of those is occupied by the Wi-Fi card, which you can see there. The other one is plugged into this because obviously you can't plug 3 into 1. So this is quite a handy little device. I found it on Amazon. So what you do is you plug one end into USB plug on your motherboard, and then it has a separate bit here where you use one of the power supplies from your SATA power supply from your PSU, which I'll get to the new PSU in a minute, and that then makes the 1 socket 4. I'm not sure how well it works yet because obviously we've not used it. I'll report back if that works properly. Hopefully it will do. I'll know when I start using it. It comes with a proper insulated pad on it, and a self-adhesive strip on the other side so you can stick it safely into the inside of your computer and keep your wires, 1, safe, 2, out the way of anything they're not meant to touch. So that's what we're going to be installing in a moment. As for power supply, as you've probably already seen on here, I've gone for what they call the Corsair RM750X. The Corsair RM750X I went for because I was debating about whether to get a matching power supply, so a gigabyte in this case power supply to the motherboard. They don't seem to have much in the way of good feedback, so I've gone for this one. Also, this is 750 watt. This PC shouldn't really be pulling because it's so basic, any more than about maybe 500 watts, which also gives me room to upgrade this in the future, whether it's to a more powerful motherboard, or even maybe just upgrade the shell, if I can find one that allows me to have a CD drive. That's the primary reason I've kept this, is because I wanted to keep, although you can't see it from the front, this actually has a CD drive in it. It's a proper Blu-ray drive. I don't really want to get rid of that. It's quite handy, so I'm keeping that. It's also got a slot in, slot out socket in here for you to put take in and take out hard drives, SATA hard drives. So that's another feature that I quite want to keep. And you've got the permanent hard drive there. So this type of power supply is what they call a modular power supply, which means that unlike the old power supply, which has all the cables pre-attached to it, quite messy, half of them you don't use, and it's just an absolute pain in the backside. This one doesn't. What that has instead is it has sockets on the front of the power supply, which you can see there, and then in the front of the power supply where those sockets are, you put the different wires you need. So we've got different ones here. They're all labeled, so you've got, like, there's a CPU one there, that's the one I'll be putting in a moment. That's for the processing unit, the processor. You've got some that we won't be using as well, so I've got a second CPU there because some motherboards, not this one, but some motherboards have 2 processors, so sometimes you need 2 separate power supplies, one for each processor. This one in our case won't be being used, but it's always handy to have a spare as well. So that's cool. What I do like about this power supply is it kind of future-proofs the computer a bit. This is your SATA power supplies, your disk drive ones, and then you've got another cable of the same there. The nice thing about these as well is they tend to be labelled, most of them, not all of them, That one's not, because it's pretty obvious what it is by what these are here, because they can only plug into one thing. Other ones that we've got here, we've got these, which are the 6+2 PCIe wires. These are generally used for graphics cards, or GPUs as they're called, because obviously graphics cards now have their own processors in, have done for quite a while, just because of gaming PCs, etc. So some of them actually have their own separate power supply for the processor and the graphics card, so that's what you would use that for. There's a second one there for those of you that are like the proper game enthusiast. I'm not really a fan of gaming on computers, or PCs anyway, but my daughter is, so she'll be very pleased that I can put a reasonably high definition graphics card in this now. That'll make her day with Roblox. And then you've got another one here of your SATA plugs there, and these are just your general drive ones you would use like for your hard drive, CD drive power supplies. So what we're going to be doing now is putting the power supply wires in, and sorting out the USB. So I suppose the best first, I think what we'll do first is, because that's kind of out the way, so that's kind of nice and simple to get to. So I think what we'll do really is we'll get all the power wires in first, and then once we've got all our power wires in, we'll sort out this, figure out where to stick it to. I'm thinking probably the base along here. I've cleaned all the bottom off, or a lot of it off, to get rid of any dust, to make sure it sticks properly. Yeah, and we'll kind of go from there. So we're back again. I'll just tuck this back away. I've got a separate hole here where they expect you to have a second drive. I'm using that to keep the wires nice and neat. So you can probably see here now, I've got a few more plugs now in the power supply. So this one here, this plug, and the one below it, which you probably can't see, that's the 24-pin power supply for the motherboard. That's already connected there, which you saw before. The lower one of the two plugs, that's the CPU power supply, which goes from there and is plugged in down here. So that's your power supply there. This one, which is plugged in, and you can see there it's labelled PCIe/CPU. These are for the well, in this case, this PCIe one is going to be used for the graphics card here. So this should be interesting. I'll try and light this up for you with a torch. I should probably get one of those. I should have probably thought about it before I started doing this. I should have got one of those little desk things that has the magnifier and then a lamp in it. If this all goes well, maybe a future project there. Either way, so that goes into there. Like that, and that's your power supply then for the graphics card done. These, quite handily, you can, I've got some cable ties, so that were sent to me with the power supply, so we'll tidy that up afterwards, make it all neat and pretty, keep the wires out of the way, that kind of stuff. So everything else in here though requires SATA power supply, which is these. SATA, and there's PATA power supply. They're reasonably similar, but yeah, so we've got one of these. And again, you've got that end which will go into the power supply, and then it's daisy chained kind of, so you've got 1, 2, 3 on one. So in this case that will go in there, and that will power the disk drive, the hard drive chassis, where you can plug the extra hard drive in and out, and the actual hard drive that has Windows on it. So the way that works is, you can see again here, you've got ones here, there's 3 of them 4 of them actually, because there's this one up here on its own I just noticed. They're all labelled SATA PATA. That's a bit dustier or something there. So we're going to plug one into here, like that. See, so you've got your plug in there, like that, and then it's a case of going through, which I'm going to do now, and then connect these up. So you've got, pop that there, one there for the hard drive, that's the main hard drive. These can only go on one way, it's worth noting as well, so I wouldn't worry too much, because if you just look, I'll pull it out, you can see there's a little lip on the edge there, my finger's catching it, and you can see there's a little nick in the socket there, so you can only actually put it in one way. So that's the power supply for the hard drive in. We've got another one here. This is more like an adapter style, this one. That's for the USB cage, hard drive cage. Actually, that's further up, so we'll put we'll put that one in the middle, because it is in the middle. So that makes the most amount of sense, really, doesn't it? So that should go on there like that with a nice click. It's always reassuring when you get a click, you know something's gone right. Unless, of course, it's when you turn something on and it goes click and it's not a mechanical device, then you know something's gone terribly, terribly wrong. Now this is where it gets interesting. This is my CD drive. You can see there probably this little black plug. That's the SATA plug connecting it to the motherboard. The power, the power supply SATA has to go underneath that. So I have to pull these cables I've so neatly tucked away underneath it to keep them safe and tidy. And then see if I can balance this that way for you. I'm going to have to pull out SATA wire. See, that's your normal SATA wire that you plug onto your motherboard. And I need to put this down here. It should reach. There's quite a lot of wire down here already, because the CD drive is almost directly opposite where the power supply stuff is. So this is actually going to be quite fiddly. Yeah, so I'll get this on and then we'll come back. Right, so we're back. For the last time, as far as this is concerned, although I will show you me firing it up. So as you can see in here now, we've got all this neatly tied up. So I've neatly cable tied this all up. I attached it to the cage for now. Hard drive's connected, CD drive's connected. That was interesting. That was far more of a mission than connecting a CD drive should ever be. Our dock's connected. So what we're left with is this contraption that I showed you before. This. So the way these work is it's an adapter. So I've got 4 plugs on here, but I only actually need 3. So I'm going to put that on there like that. The way you tell where these go on is because if you look here, there's a pin missing in the corner, and likewise if you look, I'll get that one out of the way, on the plug there's a blanked bit. The blanked bit goes where there's no pin, and that's how you tell where that goes. So you push that on like that. See, that's one. Push that one on. Line up the pins. Come on. Okay, this one's the other way around to the other one. Ah, different. Okay, there we go. That's why you always check, see? Right, so those are connected up. This one's a bit more different. This one's a USB. But you can see it's only got the 4 because it's a USB 1, not a USB 2. That's the one that does the card slot, so that just goes on the bottom 4. It doesn't touch these ones here, it doesn't use them, it's not USB 2. These wires you can see here are connected to the USB wire, which is already connected on the motherboard, which I showed you earlier down there. And then what we have to do next is, as you can probably see here, I've left myself a SATA plug there. That's where this connects up. It's labelled SATA anyway, so you can't really get it wrong. There, see, it's labelled SATA. There you go, see, SATA. And then this one, just like with the plugs when you have here, you can see the little nick there for this plug, so you know which way to put it in. So that will then go on there like that. I've already neatly tidied away all the cables at the bottom we did before for the power wire and stuff as well. If I was to do this again, I'd probably get a bigger case with the capability of a CD drive, just because trying to fit this amount of wire in this small case is actually quite hard. And then we'll stick that there like that, and that, as long as it works, and we'll find out when I turn it on, is the last of the USB stuff connected up. So the next step is to close the case up with the lid, which is over there. And then I've got to go and put the software on it for the chipset. Very important thing to remember to do is, if you've got the manual, once you've got to the point where you plug it in, take this with you, because you need to make sure that you do all the right settings and stuff for the BIOS. Also, if you need to, you shouldn't need to because it's a new board, but if for whatever reason, if you ever need to clear the CMOS, this shows you how to do that as well, which is basically the memory for the BIOS. If you ever want to clear that, that shows you how to do that. But otherwise, this should be all according to this anyway. The CMOS is already ready to go, as it should be with a new board anyway normally. So this is ready just to have its lid put back on, plugged into a monitor, which is equally as old as the components that were inside this, so I probably need to change that next. Make sure I haven't told you a load of codswallop that will blow the PC up. So right, let me put the lid on. You don't need to see me do that. And then I will reconnect upstairs when I've plugged this all back up to the computer, and we'll share the moment of truth ourselves. Right, so it's the following day. I've had to go do some other bits and pieces. So anyway, PC's all reconnected back up. Kind of moment of truth, really, isn't it? See if it works. Hopefully it will. But if this all loads up, yeah. See, if you press delete. Oh, hang on, you've got to put in a password. No, I did look up what that was. Oh, okay, hang on. Was it that? Yes, right. So that's the next bit you'll need to do with the help of the booklet that came with your motherboard. Mine's obviously the Gigabyte booklet, because I've got a Gigabyte motherboard. Whatever yours one is, you should have all the settings and what they are in there. And it's a case of kind of scrolling through the different bits with the arrows like this. Although on this one actually you can also use the mouse as well, but I'm so used to doing it with the arrows and just going like that I'll just do it that way. But that's that then. So that's all working. Clock's all set and that's okay already, so that's brilliant. So yeah, PC's up and going. If you do want a bit more of a guide into BIOS and stuff, let me know. We can definitely sort out something for that. Otherwise, I'll see you next time with something else. I'm guessing probably technological, knowing me, because I've got some other stuff I'm going to be fixing. So I've got an Amstrad CPC that needs doing. I've got a battery replacement I'm going to be doing in a Dreamcast, so I'll be doing that at some point. And I know there's something else. Oh, and I've got a DCC 600 digital cassette player that we've got to put some new belts in. So I'll be doing all those bits and pieces here on this channel. So if you're interested in that kind of repair stuff, let me know. Do subscribe if you want to see those kind of things, and I'll see you in the next time. Also, if you like history, don't forget to watch my primary channel, Adventure 82, if you like history of railways, German bunkers and such like. Otherwise, take care, have a nice week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.